Hi everyone, it's Kat. I know it's been a little bit longer than usual since I've been on here. As I mentioned in my last video, my family's been traveling, but we're now back home and settling back into our routine, which is part of what inspired the video that I'm bringing to you today. Because I noticed, and I think I've been aware of this before, but it particularly hit me this time coming back from this vacation that it usually takes a few days for me, and I think for most people, because I've chatted with a few other friends about this, to kind of settle back in and feel like you're present in your life after you've been away. And some of that is just natural because, right, we're going through a transition. We talk a lot about how transitions can be difficult for children, but they can be, difficult for adults too, because we're transitioning from kind of one it could be one location to another. And if we've been on vacation, it's sort of one mindset to another. We're even shaking up things for our body biologically because I know for myself, we were staying with family, which was allowing my husband and I to sleep a little bit later than we normally do because our kids are huge early birds. But then that changed our rhythm, our signal that we were starting to feel tired to prompt us to go to bed early enough to then be up to do what we needed to do in the morning. That all got shifted because we went to bed later, we got up later. And so I found this week to be challenging, even just physically, of readjusting to getting to bed a little earlier, waking up earlier, and then jumping into more activity than we had been used to. So I was thinking about what could ease that transition, both for kids and adults. But often we kind of, like I said, with adults, we need to put our oxygen masks on first. That's sort of a common analogy that floats around both the yoga world and the mental health world, that we can't really help other people unless we take care of ourselves first. So sometimes we have to put on our oxygen mask, ground ourselves before we can be available to do that for other people. And sometimes just being grounded and present in ourselves is enough. We don't necessarily have to do anything with the other people in our lives because they can be grounded when our energy is grounded. And that's especially true for little kids. But there is a ripple effect when you are feeling good and centered in your own body. And then, like I said, you can just sort of let the ripple effects happen, or you can intentionally do similar practices with your children and others in your life to kind of get everybody back grounded in the present moment and ready to transition back into life post travel and post vacation. So what we're going to do today is a mudra that I learned from a teacher. Her name is Brett Larkin, and she has she has actually a lot of free YouTube videos. I'll link that in the comments if you want to check her out. So she has a lot of free, like I said, YouTube videos, but then she also has a paid membership called Uplifted. And a few years ago, I joined that membership in order to participate in a 40-day meditation challenge because I was trying to kind of get my meditation practice to be a little more regular. And there's this belief that, if you can commit to something for 40 days, it's easier to then continue it versus saying like, okay, I'm going to do this for 3 days or 5 days or a week. Sometimes the habit doesn't really get solidified enough, but if you can do it for 40 days, it can lock it in a little bit more, especially if it's something that feels right for you. So I did this practice, and it's a relatively short practice, and it's easy to do anywhere. That was one of the reasons I appreciated it because my kids were much younger at the time, like they were both toddlers when I was doing this. So often what I would do is if I would get to school a few minutes early to pick them up, like from preschool, I could actually just sit and do this in my car, or if I got to a doctor's appointment early, same thing, or when the kids were taking naps. So it's nice because this is actually a practice you can fit into different times throughout the day. You don't necessarily have to set like a dedicated time aside, or it can also be good with pretty much any kind of meditation or breath body practice. If you can commit to a certain time or day, it makes it even easier to stick with it. So if you can say like first thing in the morning, I'm going to carve out 7 to 10 minutes to do this, or right before I go to bed, I'm going to carve out 7 to 10 minutes to do it. That can make it a little easier to be consistent. But like I said, as a busy mom, I appreciate with this practice that I can also fit it in throughout the day. So that's a nice, gives you some flexibility if you're not able to do it at your dedicated time every single day. So to start out, so this is a grounding practice. So we're going to do a mudra for about 3 minutes. And then when the 3 minutes are over, we'll drop our arms just down to our laps and spend a few more minutes just breathing and letting the practice kind of integrate into our bodies. But before we start, sometimes it could be nice, just as an added element, bringing in some other senses to like diffuse an essential oil or burn some incense or something like that. Just kind of help you get into the space. And I like essential oils because they're a little bit more portable versus, incense could be, or like diffusing essential oils could be really nice, but sometimes that's not as portable. So if you are interested or have essential oils in your life already, this is actually from the company Young Living. It's a grounding blend, but you can also get other kinds of grounding oils. Anything that's kind of woodsy is really good. I particularly like cedarwood, and you can get that from a bunch of different companies. Plant Therapy is another one I really like that doesn't require any kind of membership or subscription. So like something like cedarwood, which is, like I said, relatively inexpensive as a single oil. I like vetiver a lot, although that can be really sedating. So you might want to save that if you're having a bedtime practice because it can knock you out and put you to sleep. You could do lavender. Lavender is a tricky one because most people associate it with relaxation, but it can also be actually activating. It's what we call an adaptogen. So it kind of does whatever your body needs. So if your body is kind of dragging energy wise, it could actually be more activating. So for a grounding practice, you might want to steer clear of that. But you can kind of experiment with different things and see what works for you. And then just one more kind of point about essential oils is that most oils need to be diluted in order to be put on your skin. So if you're putting them in a diffuser, you can do it straight out of the bottle. But if you are going to roll it, like I like to roll my oils sometimes like on the back of my neck or on my pulse points, those are good ways to actually get it into your bloodstream. And so you want to make sure if you're going to do that, that you dilute your oils. So what I often do is you can just buy packs of these rollerball bottles on Amazon. You just want to make sure it's a tinted, like a blue or a brown, because otherwise the sunlight can degrade the oil inside. So you just get one of these. You usually put in anywhere from 10 to 20 drops of essential oil, depending on how strong you're making it. And you do need to make it more diluted if you're going to use these on children. And then you would just top the rest of this off with a carrier oil. I like grapeseed oil because that's very light and it doesn't tend to clog pores. A lot of people also use fractionated coconut oil is a good one, and that's very cooling. So like in the summer, that's a good one to have. You can also use untoasted sesame oil too if you want a more warming experience. So any of those are good to top off. You can use olive oil too, it's just a little thicker. So again, can sort of experiment. Jojoba oil is actually another good like lighter oil to use. So any of those put in, and then that way you have a portable pre-diluted essential oil. And some companies actually sell these pre-diluted, so you can look for that too if you don't want to go through making it by yourself. So to get started, like I said, if you have your oil and you want to put it on, you can put it, behind your ears, behind your neck, pulse points, rub it, breathe it in to kind of help set the mood. Or like I said, if you're somewhere where you can burn some incense or diffuse your oils if you prefer. And then what we're going to do, and I'll tell you when to start, so you don't have to start right this second, but you're going to place your right arm on top of your left arm. So you're touching your opposite elbows, and you're going to sit up nice and tall. And we're going to hold this mudra for 3 minutes, which initially doesn't feel that intense, but I promise you, especially by like about the 1.5 minute mark, might feel a little bit more intense. And as I think I've mentioned before, because this also comes, is sort of related to Kundalini yoga philosophy, which is if you can hold it for 3 minutes, it's from between like the 2 to 3 minute mark where your brain actually can shift. It starts to rewire a little bit. And it's also good in terms of sort of building up stamina and resilience, both mentally and physically. So we want to hold this for 3 minutes if possible. Now, if you hit a point where it's just not happening, that's totally fine because it does require some upper body strength to do this. And you may need to practice it for a while, maybe getting to the 1.5, 2 minutes mark before you can bump it up to the 3 minute mark. And that's fine because we do want to avoid pain, because if you're getting into pain, then you're not going to get the benefit of the mudra. But if you can, we're going to hold this for 3 minutes, just thinking about keeping your spine nice and tall and just taking deep, slow breaths, trying to match the length of your inhale and your exhale so that you try to keep your body as calm and relaxed as possible. We want to try to avoid building up additional muscle tension by doing this. You also want to think about drawing your shoulder blades down your back so that you're not sitting there like this, because that's also going to cause some neck tension that we want to try to avoid. So like I said, we'll hold this for 3 minutes. You can keep your eyes closed. You can open probably wouldn't be as helpful, but closed, or maybe adopt a soft downward gaze, maybe looking down at your lap if you're not comfortable closing your eyes all the way. And then I will cue you at the 3 minute mark just to drop your arms down. And I'm going to add a little music in today. This is still kind of low tech. I haven't beefed up my technology skills quite yet, but I'm going to have a little music playing on my phone. Sometimes it just helps to have a little bit of a distraction when you're getting started with these practices. Ideally you would be really kind of dropping into your body, but initially sometimes it's good to have a little, again, using our senses to help us keep ourselves present. So I'm going to go ahead and invite you to close your eyes or adopt a soft downward gaze. And just take a couple deep, gentle breaths here. Really drawing that breath down into your belly. Inflating your belly balloon as you inhale and slowly deflating it on your exhale. And now go ahead and bring your arms up into your mudra, placing the right arm on top of your left arm, and then just taking some nice deep breaths. Trying to keep your attention as much as possible on your breath. The power of love is here now. The power of now is here now. The power of you. Maybe noticing any sensations or especially thoughts that might be popping up here. The power of love is here now. The power of now is here now. The power as we're coming into the 1 minute mark, starting to notice whether you're feeling any sense of tension, such as in your shoulders or in your neck. And maybe sending some of your breath into that area between your shoulder blades, encouraging some relaxation in that area. Checking in with your shoulders and maybe drawing them down your spine. And lifting up through the crown of the head towards the ceiling, keeping your spine nice and long. Let the water wash away your tears. Let the fire burn away. And also notice what you're saying to yourself during this time. Let the wind blow into your life, such faith and trust. Is there any part of you that's saying, this is too hard, this is too difficult, I can't do this? And if you're feeling any of those thoughts, just draw your attention back to your breath and tell yourself that you're stronger than you might realize and that you can do this. We have about 20 seconds left. So one more time, adjusting your posture, really lifting up through the crown of your head, lengthening your spine. And taking one or two more rounds of deep, gentle, and slow breathing. And now keeping your eyes closed, releasing your arms down to your lap. Keeping your palms up in a gesture of receiving energy, or flipping the palms down on your lap in order to continue grounding your energy. And just continuing your gentle, slow breathing as we really let this practice integrate into our body. Taking this time and space for our body to really process what we just did. And to help diffuse that calming and grounding energy throughout our body. Now, keeping your eyes closed or maintaining that soft downward gaze, bring your hands up in front of your heart, placing the palms together and pressing your thumbs against your chest right in front of your heart. Taking another deep cleansing breath here. And showing yourself some gratitude for taking the time to ground your energy and be present with yourself today. And we end this practice by saying namaste. And now gently start to flutter your eyes back open, coming back into the space around you and noticing how you feel. And so you may not feel an immediate shift. I usually do, and I think most folks do after a practice like that. But what is really interesting to me too is to see how throughout the day your energy might feel different. So if, let's say, you came back from vacation 2 days ago and yesterday you felt really scattered, I'd be interested to see on day 2 post-vacation how you would feel if you started your morning with a practice like this or tried to fit it in sometime earlier in the day, and then track how you're feeling later in the day and see if you feel it all more present, more grounded, and more reconnected with the environment that you're in. So if you do this practice and you have some time to notice how you're feeling both immediately afterwards and later in the day, please let me know. I'd love to hear. You can post below. And I would encourage to do this practice more than once. I think it can be powerful done once, but it's more powerful if you can do it at least for a few days in a row, maybe let's say 3 to 5 days, to see how the effects can be amplified with repetition. And like I said, if you love this practice and want to challenge yourself a little bit, try doing it for 40 days in a row. It sounds intense, and it can be. And you may think, how the heck am I going to do that? But luckily, that only took us maybe about 7 to 8 minutes or so from start to finish. And so if you can try to carve that time out of your day, you really, really will notice the benefits, especially the more days in a row that you do this. So I hope you have a good rest of the day and come back and see me soon. Take care. Bye bye.